I'm gonna jump right into things. Hello, Ragen here, and welcome to my channel, Disruptive Girl. So, today we're working with that tie-dye kit I was telling you about, and we're gonna make some stuff, do some things. I recorded this over a couple days. I did this day before yesterday. It's 6 o'clock in the morning on the 7th right now that I'm editing this. So it's like Tuesday. I recorded this over 2 days, and I was editing it last night, and was going to have it out, and I ended up getting a little sidetracked and didn't get it done. I recorded this, and I had so many problems. I don't know. Some days, like, no electronics will work in my house, and that's just life. So batteries were dying, and things were cutting out, and memory cards were filling up, and there was a lot going on, and I was really frustrated. So there was a few things I had to record like over and over and over again, and it was beyond frustrating, but it's just kind of the nature of things, which is why you don't hear from me more than you. I don't know what's going on. Like, I swear my house is super haunted. I think that's my theory. Like, I'm just gonna go with that because I don't know what else the excuse is. I was having problems with gear, and so I went and bought new stuff. I've tested like the power from the outlets and stuff to see if that was an issue. I even like charge a battery pack to charge stuff off of, to see if maybe it's because I'm plugging it into the wall. I mean, there's like no like viable excuse. Batteries don't work for crap. Cameras do weird things. My phone does weird things. Everything is so strange. And like, I have a brand new laptop that has an amazing, ridiculous battery life. And sometimes I'll just plug it in and the battery's dead. So I immediately was like, great. So I got this stupid thing, and it's like this lemon piece of junk. What's going on? And I took it in and had it looked at. There's nothing wrong with it. I did the diagnostic on it before I took it in to see if there was like anything in it, in the log. And there's nothing. There's no reason for it to have done what it did. Yeah, it's so bizarre. And then after I had somebody look at it, it stopped doing it. It hasn't done it again. But it was so frustrating. This is the lace that I got. I love this stuff. It's like wedding lace. And then I went to Dollar Tree on the website and ordered a case of these balls, which is great for crafts for the kids and stuff too. So that's why I got a case of them instead of just going in a Dollar Tree and buying just a few. So the ball that I have right here that I'm using to measure this, by the way, is one that I covered like paper mache and painted with my airbrush. Just a solid color so that I'd have it as a base underneath, and you would have a little bit of color poking through, because when you dye this material, it doesn't all dye the colors, and then it is lace, so it's open and there's a lot of, you can like see through it or whatever. But so I try to usually put something under it. The blue one that I did, I took a piece of like muslin and dyed it along with the lace and then put it underneath the lace. So it's actually blue fabric underneath the lace in the blue one that I made prior. It's like an indigo blue, which you'll see at the end of this video. But I cut my pieces and I got my baggies, and each one of them, as I put it in the baggie, I put just a little bit of plain water and squish it around so that that works as a little bit of a carrier for the dye, so that it dyes evenly and gets to all the places. Because sometimes if you put the dye on like dry fabric, it'll be like splotchy, because like it'll intensely soak into some places more than others, and like it can cause issues with your dyeing process. So it's better to work with something that's damp, and then it just kind of like spreads out or whatever. This tie-dye kit is absolutely like fantastic, by the way. The dyes are very vibrant. They give you a lot. I will say, when you're mixing the powder mix, take heed, because I got a tiny bit of powder mix on my desk. This is why I Dexter Morgan to my desk in order to do this part. I got a tiny little bit of the powder mix on my desk, and like a day later, I was wiping my desk down, and I got like, as I put the cleaner on my desk and I was wiping everything, I had like a rainbow of colors all over my desk, like the paper towel was covered. Luckily, it's like a dark wood desk, and I was cleaning it, so it all came up or whatever. But I mean, this stuff could really be really destructive on surfaces if you don't make sure that you have something down. And like I said, you have to really be careful because the powder mix is very deceiving. It doesn't seem like there's anything there. You're like, oh, I just dropped a couple granules on the table or whatever. But then if like that gets moist, it gets wet. Oh yeah, it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. So just keep that in mind when working with this. This is probably one of those like outside backyard type projects, generally speaking, especially if you're doing this with kids. But I do everything sitting at my desk, looking out the backyard at the little birds. So it just is what it is. But after mixing this with the Forbidden Kool-Aid, I let everything sit overnight. I was still doing, I don't even know, I'm going to see right now because I keep checking. My camera kept like cutting off and I don't know why. I know it only records for so many minutes, but normally it'll record for so many minutes and then it'll like make a new record. It'll continue to record. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't actually cut off. It just slices it up into smaller files. I've never had a problem before, but for some reason, like it's just like, nope, I'm done. I don't record anymore. This is where I stop. So that's been a wee bit frustrating. Anyway, I got some sleep. I woke up to some angry animals because I slept in a little bit. And Mal thought I was trying to starve him out, but I wasn't. I was just really tired. And Ra, the oh so needy one. He's such a baby. I love this cat. He's such a good cat. And here's my dog Kaya. I don't think anybody's really seen much of her. She's shedding, so she looks a little rough right now, but she's a baby. Like I said, this is the next day, and I went in and I squished it. I squished them all to make sure that they died, and I didn't do something horrifically wrong that caused them not to pick up any pigment at all. These colors, this sky blue, I love this sky blue. I just, I don't know. These are very vibrant. They're very pretty colors. I was very impressed with this kit. More than I thought I would be, because I was like, oh, it's just like some cheapo thing or whatever, no big deal. I can't speak for how it would work on like regularly washed and worn garments, but for craft dyeing fabric, this is like perfect. It's so good. It works so well and it looks so good, and it's just so vibrant and just beautiful. I was very impressed. Very, very impressed. All the squishing. So I took everything and gave it a nice good rinse, and you'll see what I'm talking about here, like how vibrant and pretty these colors are. I'm rinsing this in hot water. I'm trying to get as much of the dye out as I can so that I don't have residual dye absolutely everywhere. And then so that was this red looks so terrifying. It's a bright red. It's not like a real deep color. There is a deep red ink, dye in there, but I used the bright red because, that's what I wanted. I wanted the bright red. I like the way it looks. It's very bright and cheery and not, too intense. My favorite though, I think out of all of them, is probably this green one. Like this is the one. This is like my favorite as far as like how the colors turned out of this batch. I've done a couple of batches. I did one that was like blues and pinks. I saved my baggies because with the pink ones, I ended up dyeing like 4 pieces of pink lace, and I reused the bag of dye and water that I had previously, and it worked just fine. I don't know what kind of shelf life these things are supposed to have, but if you got really absorbent material that takes in the color, it seems to work again with no problem. But look at that, it's so pretty. This is the purple, which just looks like a darker blue color, but it's purple. love it. When this material, it was stiff. It feels stiff when it first comes out while it's wet. Once it's fully dry, after it's been rinsed really well, it does soften up, and then it's a little easier to work with. And then there's that sky blue. Look at that sky blue. It's so pretty. I want everything this color now, and it's not even a color I really care for. It was one of the crayons I never used as a kid. I never really cared for that color, but it looks good on this lace with that dye. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then there's my favorite, which is that beautiful, like minty, like seafoam looking green. I love that so much. And this is just green, like in the kit, it's just regular green, but that's what it looks like on this material. And it's just, I have a ribbon that matches it exactly, which is so cool. And then there's the red. It's such a bright, cheery red too. I like that. It's very cute. Makes me happy. Anyway, yeah, so that's how the material comes out after being rinsed and dried. It was a teensy bit damp still after that point because it hadn't had a chance to like fully air dry, but as you can tell, it didn't really change much color wise. I got all my supplies together. Like I said, I do have a ribbon that matches all of the colors except for the purple. I have like 3 different purple ribbons, but they weren't the same like range of purple, like totally different tones. So I just grabbed like a gray or a silver to go with that. But this pink is the material that I dyed last batch, not this current batch. And as you can see, I'm just taking that and gluing it to the styrofoam ball and getting it on there and getting everything settled in best I can. And I got one of those little like it's face mask spreaders, like the little tool there. And I don't remember who, because so many people have posted these things or used these things and shared that as like a craft hack that I don't know the origin of who like really started that. But I'm telling you, if you know, let me know in the comments below. But personally, like that is my favorite tool for hot glue because I got the little finger caught thingies that are meant to handle the heat or whatever. But they, especially during the summer when I'm crafting, I'm like, gross. I feel like icky. And then I usually have on like some cheapo press-on nails to keep my real nails from getting trashed while I craft, which sounds really funny, but it works. I like to use my nails for a lot of things, and I get like these cheap nails, and they're not, I don't press them on, I glue them on, with nail glue. And it's great because then if I like chip one or break one or whatever, I've got, I just take it off and replace it. Anyway, but those little finger caught thingies don't work when you've got nails on very well. I end up like ripping holes in them or whatever because of that. But that little tool right there, it works amazing. The only thing you have to do is you have to hold it there until the glue is completely cooled, because otherwise if you pull it away, then you get all these little stringers of glue everywhere, because if the glue is still hot, it'll still stick to pretty much anything, even non-stick surfaces, And the mat that I'm working on, I found a little silicone mat. I usually use this for soldering or for working on electronics. But it's a silicone mat, and it will take temperatures up to like 400 something degrees or whatever. So it's absolutely perfect for hot gluing on, because I can park my glue gun on it and don't have to worry about it marring up the surface. Because you can barely notice, but at the bottom of my screen there, I have my cutting mat. One of my cutting mats, I've got a couple of them. I have a giant Fiskars one that I usually use on my big craft table, but this little one here, it's got that warp right there, and that warp is just simply from me using a heat gun for about 3 seconds. I was trying to hurry up and dry some paint. I was working on a project, and I turned on the heat gun and held it really far away, and I was just like a couple passes, boop, boop, and I looked, and I just cut the edge, and it bubbled the mat up, because they just can't handle heat, period. Never had one bubble up that fast. But I actually, it was bad. And then it got heat again I was like soldering, and I had the soldering iron sitting on a stand, but just the residual heat, even though the soldering iron was on a stand, was enough to cause the mat to warp. I've since gone through with the heat gun and got most of it to flatten back out, because I'm not going to get rid of the cutting mat because it's perfect on my desk. It's a smaller one, not too big, and it serves a really good purpose, and I use it a lot, but I don't use heat stuff on there. For Blue Alisa, and I don't use my heat gun near my cutting mat anymore, because they don't handle the heat very well in general. I'm sure there might be brands out there that do, but that particular one didn't. It's like an Avery or something like that. But the little blue mat that I'm working on does handle the heat. I can put my hot glue gun on it, and I can also use the mat surface itself. Like if I'm trying to push a big portion of glue down, like flat or whatever, I can actually just use the whole mat. I can just squish it down on the mat and let it sit there until it cools, instead of using my fingers or burning myself, you know. The pieces that I use to hang, like for a hanger, and to attach the ribbons to the bottom of this, are just jewelry pins. You know, just like your regular jewelry pins. And then I just took my pliers and I bent them in like a corkscrew, so that you can like turn them and put them in there. And then I didn't glue them into place until at the end, after I put like all the ribbon and stuff on them. I just like fit them in there, and then I took them back out, did that, and then put the glue on them. And then it's glued like to them, the lace, and then the ribbon and stuff that's on there, like the first layer of it is glued as well. So that's enough to hold everything all together so that nothing falls out. Because if you just stick the pin in there, you know, on it like straight on its own, it's just gonna fall out. But if you kind of corkscrew the whole thing and work it in there and then put a lot of glue, you've got a good solid connection, and it'll hold on and last for quite a while and won't come apart. And of course I dropped my first pin that I was bending into the shape that I needed, because the majority of everything ends up on the floor. Like that's that's why I always try to craft out in the living room on the tile floor, so that if the thing that ends up on the floor is like paint or something, it's easy to clean up. Because I'm going to drop absolutely everything right at my feet. That's just a given. Never fails. Never ever fails. But yeah, I mean, the cool thing about those floral balls is like you could use any kind of material. You could use any process to do this, and the end results, you know, look amazing with minimal effort. It's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. If you're not, I mean, if depending on like the glues that you use or whatever and stuff like that, it's pretty safe for anybody to do. I will say, please be mindful when doing crafts of any kind to follow the proper safety precautions and use the proper PPE. Just like I was saying earlier, I do some like airbrushing and stuff, but I have an airbrush booth on my desk that suctions everything off of the, you know, out of there, out the window. I've got it set up with an exhaust tube that runs out the window, and I also have a full face mask that I use when I paint, and you know, like a filter mask. And then I have, like, I chase my animals out of the room so that I'm not, you know, and my kids, so I'm not, you know, forcing everybody to have to breathe in my paint particles and things like that. I do everything I can to be as mindful of everyone in my household and myself when I'm crafting. And yeah, just be safe. You could also use like large needles and, you know, like the big like yarn needles or whatever, especially with this lace because it's wide, you know, it's got a lot of big openings in it. So you could use like a yarn needle or a larger needle and just sew the material on, you know, attach it that way, which would be a little bit easier for anybody that doesn't want to have to wrestle with hot glue. Anybody that values their fingerprints. But yeah, there's lots of options for this. just giving a general idea of what I did. And my tree is slowly getting decorated. I'll be able to share that with everybody once I get finished with it. I'm doing these a little bit at a time, and then I have somebody coming over later on today that's going to help me dig around in the back shed for the stuff that I need to get out of there. And then we're going to have a crafting day because she's kind of in my position of like not leaving the house for work right now, and she's like, I'm bored. I'm like, well, come over. You know, we're vaccinated. We've been like isolated. She lives really close, you know. So I'm like, come over, do some crafting, get some stuff done. And, you know, that can happen. So that's the plan for later on today, is to do that. I took a whole bunch of, once again, there's links in the description down below to everything that I've used. But there's like a big pack of like white lace, and I took a whole bunch of that white lace. It wouldn't dye because it's synthetic, but you could probably find other ones. I'm sure you can. There's plenty of other ones that will take the dye just fine. I didn't try to dye this. I haven't tried to dye this, but I'm pretty sure that it probably wouldn't take it very well because, like I said, it's a pretty synthetic stuff. It's not. There's no like cotton or anything in it. But I took a bunch of different ones of that and cut some lengths to use for the bottom to hang down as streamers underneath the ball. And I take another one of the jewelry pins and I just go through all the middle of the ribbon, fabric, whatever it is I'm attaching to the bottom. Make my little corkscrew. Throw some hot glue in there and then stick it in the bottom of the ball, and then just once it's in place I glue around it too and press everything to it so that it's nice and secure. And I use little like ruffles of lace in between, and take like a needle and thread and just go along the edge, like one edge of the lace, and then gather it up so that it makes a little ruffle, and put that around the top and bottom to give it a little bit more dimension and something to kind of cover up any hot glue mistakes or things like that. And that's always like, that's embellish, glue some stuff on there, you know, wrap some stuff around there, cover up whatever mess you made that didn't hot glue over your shame. No, but yeah, so about pretty soon my camera is going to cut out once again, because like I said, it was being so temperamental, and I was so frustrated because I was on a roll. I was having a lot of fun making this stuff, and everything kept like cutting off and cutting out and doing things. And then like one of my tripods, like the thing, I almost lost the camera on the tile floor. It was very stressful. So but I got through it. I got this much done, and I'm gonna show you the finished product of these. You know, I was really sad because I was like, okay, cool, I get to make like this full tutorial, and then as I'm trying to get things done, everything kept falling apart. These are those beads I was talking about, but it's going to cut out and you're not going to get to see much of them. But they're chandelier crystals, and they're plastic, I believe. They might be glass. Actually, they might be glass, but they look so beautiful on there. They're all shiny and they catch the light really nice. So that's the pink one that I did, and this is the blue one that I did. So yeah, yay, woohoo, made it through it. Anyway, thanks for watching. That was kind of a long, pointless video with a lot of squirreling around, but I did it anyway. It's here. There it is. Enjoy. Like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will see you tomorrow.